Hello, everybody. Welcome to With Thunderous Applause, a podcast where two friends get together to discuss the events and ideas that will shape our uncertain future. I am your host, Steve, along with my co-host, Zach. What's up?
What's up, man? Not
We
much.
need an intro song, maybe with some like Mongolian fucking throat metal and shit.
There is an intro song on the card that we
Oh,
played
that's
before
right, the
this.
kind of spacey stuff.
Yeah.
No, we need like an intro like they got on the dollop, where it's like, I'm the fucking hippo man. I don't know if
Okay.
you ever listened to the dollop.
No, I haven't.
No, it's
All
pretty
right.
fucking good. It's just like a history podcast by
Oh,
two
okay.
comedians. Yeah, and they're pretty rad. Anyway, today is a Thursday stream. We're shooting the Poodoo. Today's show is entitled Genocide Isn't Sexy, but Jude Law is. And that's because, of course, still can't really avoid it. Pretty much the world fucking stopped on October 7th.
Yeah.
It feels in some ways. We're going to talk maybe a little bit about that because, because the Ukraine war is going to wind down because the U.S. is just like that meme where the dude's walking with a chick but looking over his shoulder at the other chick.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, I think you were the
Great.
one that posted that meme to the community tab.
I believe I did. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's so fucking perfect.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, we're like Israel's over there. Sorry, Ukraine.
Yeah.
Yeah, at any rate. So we got like kind of eclectic mix of stuff as we usually do on Shooting the Poodoo. We're gonna finish the show having a brief discussion about Skeleton Crew because I finally saw a date.
Yeah.
I guess they
January something.
filed for Library of Congress for January 2024. So the paperwork side of people have said this is when we're gonna it'll be its official release date.
Right.
So
Cool. I look forward to
as
it.
far as whatever that means, right? They've taken necessary steps for its rollout, and it was already done before the strikes.
Mm.
And we'll talk about that because why not?
Why not?
So let's get rolling. We're gonna start with
Democracy Meow.
Israel's Supreme Court has banned anti-war protests after residents of Arab-majority towns in northern Israel applied for permits to call publicly for a ceasefire. Israel's High Court of Justice sided with police who said protests would divert critical resources. On Wednesday, Israel's Knesset amended its counterterrorism law, introducing a new criminal offense, the, quote, consumption of terrorist materials, unquote. Violators face up to 1 year imprisonment. Human rights groups have compared the amendment to thought policing and warn even passively downloading material produced by Hamas could land people in prison.
Yeah.
this is the Middle East's only democracy.
Apparently, it's incredibly oppressive. Yeah, exactly.
They literally just passed a law for what is being described as thought crimes.
Yeah. I mean, like, what if, Hamas puts out a banner ad on a website? You go to it, you're like, oh no, I got served a Hamas banner ad. I'm so fucked.
Yeah. Or you're just
funny,
you just like want to learn about what's happening.
Yeah. It's basically like, hey, don't.
Or.
I mean, it basically like how they define terrorism will basically just make it so anything that's anti-Israel is terrorism, I'm sure. Like at some point.
I think that's already kind of implied, right? Because they're like, oh my God, poor Jewish students locked inside the library with the rampaging fucking anti-Semites at the door, like painting these pictures of barbarians at the gates and shit. Then you read about it and you're like, the school decided to lock certain structures down because there was a large protest, and there just happened to be a group of Jewish students meeting with other students in the same library. It's not like they shuttled them off to a safe room or anything, right? Like, but that gets plastered as like students are like left-wing lynch mobs trying to kill Jews on campuses. It is just a disgusting fabrication. But yeah, it's interesting to see. I think the Gray Zone guys point this out a lot, Max Blumenthal, just about how ridiculous it is and how most of like Western imperialism is now being exposed. I mean, it has been being exposed. Like the Iraq War did a lot of that, right?
Mhm.
Like the torture and all that other stuff did that, right? Like we have been like the primary actors in the erosion of like international norms, right? And
Right.
expectations. And so, you know, all the grandstanding and moralism of the American political elite when it came to Russia and Ukraine, like they just completely fucking trash it. It's like Russia's like, well, you know, you're gonna try and take this important port from me. It's my only port in that area. Like, I don't want you to do that. Oh my God, these monsters. And then it's like, we want their land and we want to exterminate them. And we're like, we'll give you whatever you want.
Yeah. Please make it
Right?
cheaper for us to buy shit for a little while
Exactly.
longer.
So, yeah, it's just such a double standard that's again being exposed in an even more grotesque and brutal way, in the
Yeah.
way that we're not just supporting some dictator, we're supporting like a literal fascist state, genocidal fascist state. And here's just a perfect example of it. And I was going to ask you, given that like US law enforcement and shit trains with Israeli companies and Israeli defense officials for like
Yeah.
riot control and shit like that, right?
Right.
To turn our cities into internal, I mean, they already are internal colonies, but to turn them into prison camps, open prisons.
Mhm.
Like, what do you think? Like, what kind of lesson is that? Like, is this a tool? Like, they already kind of use the protest tool, right? Like in America, like you have to apply for permits sometimes, and I could see them
Yeah.
being like, "Oh, we have this crisis. Like, don't give any permits to protesters." And
Yeah.
then if you're not permitted,
You can
then
get
it's
arrested.
illegal. And then they could just like willy-nilly like treat you as an enemy combatant.
Yeah.
If they wanted, right?
Yeah. You know, knock your 90-year-old grandma over.
They already do that, but do you think it's a similar scale now? Do you think that repression of a protest in the United States could become more severe? And then what do you think about that prospect? Do you think that's possible in the United States for our government to declare like certain ideas like
Yeah.
prison offenses?
I mean, we kind of already do, because like a lot of the stuff that we outlaw is just an idea, you know, like, you know, you can't you know, put this plant in your body because we said so. It's not based on anything, it's just an idea. So I mean, yeah, why not? You know, like if you can make things like that illegal, you can make a lot of things illegal. So I mean,
Yeah,
definitely not impossible.
I don't disagree with that. I also think that it kind of, with this ideas stuff, it kind of makes me think of like the cancel culture issue too, right? Like both as a point exposed hypocrisy, but also in the sense that like that's one way that information is controlled.
Mhm.
And we are policed. We do have thought crimes, right? I think that's why Dave Chappelle is such a genius. Like his again, that monologue where he's like, well, you know, it's not, it's what did he say? It's not a evil thing to think, it's an evil thing to say, or whatever. Or it's not
Yeah.
crazy, is what he says. It's not a crazy thing to think, because like you could see evidence of it around you, but it's a crazy thing to say out loud.
Right. Going back though to them training with you know, Israel, they also have, you know, one of the best surveillance states out there. And you
Yeah.
know, around these parts at least, we're definitely seeing more and more like traffic cameras. And I was just reading how car companies will basically, when they sync with your phone and you um, allow that to view your contacts list, which is necessary for like hands-free calling and all that crap, that contact list can and will be turned over to the police for money. Basically just sell your data through your car. So if you have like a car that, you know, connects to the internet in any way, which is a lot of the newer ones,
We need a fucking digital bill of rights, bro.
we do, and we're not going to get it.
No, we won't. Because we're edging, like we're on the brink of fucking fascism, bro.
Yeah.
Like, we really are. Like,
Yeah,
I wouldn't
mean, like,
keep saying it if I didn't believe it.
and we carry a little like, you know, where am I machine around with us everywhere.
I agree with it.
So, like,
Yeah, I mean, you can get
Yeah.
away, but like the camera stuff, like
that's harder. Yeah.
yeah, because I was just thinking that like there was a video this week of a and of course it made the rounds in the Second Amendment spaces because there was a guy who just basically on his way home from the gym got
Mhm.
jumped, but he was a concealed carrier, and so like he was like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" and was able, but his door camera like caught all of that.
Mm,
And like how like you're so surveilled that like you literally like going in and out of your house, like you say, well, I want to know if someone's coming to my door when I'm not there, but like really what you're doing, and I had when I got robbed or
mhm.
burglarized or whatever, like I might have mentioned this before, the police officer said, why don't you get cameras, because then we can remotely review that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want you to know
Remote
when I'm
viewing.
coming and going out of my house, which is what you're doing when you
Right.
put a camera there. You're gonna give them more the government, the state, fascist police forces, right? Like we've
Mhm.
talked about, like their police are essentially going to be one of the warlord gangs that emerges early in like a without rule of law, like because they're
Yeah.
already structured as a fucking gang, and they have the material to project that kind of violent power across the populace. But
Mhm.
like now they know when you come and go from your house,
Mhm.
right? Like
Yeah.
more than you're gonna give them more information about your daily habits than you're ever gonna get about someone potentially stealing fucking a package off your porch.
Right.
Like,
Right. And there are ways to fight back. Like I saw, there's like anti-paparazzi ones that could be used where it basically like redirect. It's kind of like a stop sign in that it redirects all the light in one direction, so it like sends it back at its source, and,
mm,
and so it just like whites it out. But there's other ones that are UV reflectant, and so like, sorry, not UV, infrared. And so if you're out at night and there's like or infrared or UV cameras, it basically just looks like a big bright spot because it's super reflective. And so there's a whole bunch of different ways, but I mean,
oh,
should
do
you have
you
to
mean
do
to
that?
maintain anonymity?
Maintain anonymity, yeah, like paint your face like the insane clown posse, that works for now. There's all kinds of like weird clothes that you can buy. Yeah, like there's a lot of workarounds for it, but like why should you have to do that?
Yeah, no, and that's my point. Like, right,
Yeah.
like in I guess like I didn't really realize, but like all the schools, like
Hmm.
there's school, like your kid could be tracked like pretty much all day,
Yeah.
except like
Oh,
when
for
they're in
sure.
the bathroom, right? Like
For now.
it's fucking insane. Yeah, presumably. And there's all sorts of like, there's like a whole
Just
show
like
or something on TV, or maybe it's a YouTube channel or something that just shows it just shows people finding hidden cameras in like hotel rooms and shit.
sorry, I had bread in the oven and
No, you're
had her
fine.
headphones in so she couldn't hear the alarm going off.
Oh yeah, no worries. I was just saying that like there's like a show, I think a YouTube show or a regular TV show of them of people finding hidden cameras in hotels and shit.
Oh yeah. And you always see like the little shorts
Bathrooms
on.
at work and shit like that.
Yeah, and you always see the little TikToks, where it's like, oh yeah, here's how to detect him in the thing. Oh no, we got a pervert or whatever. Yeah, so
Yeah, it's just fucking
surveilled.
crazy. But to the point of the Israel article, and I
Mm.
mean, a good conversation about the surveillance state is always warranted, I think. Um, but it's just kind of, I'm like, what ideas is the U.S. gleaning from this?
Yeah.
Like, well, they might be like, okay, you're like, there's no public assembly without a permit, which we would be like, that's illegal, that's against the First Amendment. But like, there's a lot of things that the government has done that have been against our rights, like a ton of things, right?
Hmm.
Like everything the
They
government
seized
does,
all the gold.
right? Seized all the gold, like uh, passes like ridiculous restrictions on firearm ownership,
Yeah.
like searches and seizures, right? Like just like fucking wireless warrantless wiretapping and all this other shit that the CIA has done to us, and that the FBI has done, like through COINTELPRO and all those other programs. Like our government has always treated us as like a fucking enemy.
Yeah.
Because the government is controlled by the ruling class, and the masses are the enemy of the ruling class.
Hmm.
Even if they got us in a state where we're like largely passive, and we really are. right? Like they still know that at any fucking moment, like all we need is that one vegetable vendor to fucking light themselves on fire, right?
Yeah.
Like in protest, just be like, I don't know what else to do, so I guess I'll just fucking burn myself alive.
Yeah. And that's why they're making the robots and all the AI and shit. Not only to make art for us, but also to do all of our little menial jobs.
So they can dispose of the surplus population.
Exactly.
All right, next clip. Also Democracy Now! Same episode, today's episode.
Yes.
In Belgium, the Deputy Prime Minister, Petra de Sutter, called Wednesday for the European Union to immediately suspend its association agreement with Israel and called on Belgium's government to take meaningful action to stop the violence.
It is time for sanctions against Israel. The rain of bombs is inhumane. While war crimes are being committed in Gaza, Israel ignores the international demand for a ceasefire.
In 2020, the Deputy Prime Minister, Petra de Sutter, made history as the first transgender minister in Europe. Here in the United States, dozens of Jewish peace activists led a peaceful sit-in protest at the office of Earl Blumenauer Wednesday, calling on the Democratic Congress member to support a lasting ceasefire in Gaza. On Capitol Hill, more than 100 congressional staffers staged a walkout demanding their bosses back a ceasefire in Gaza. Also on Wednesday, over 1,000 employees of USAID, the U.S. Agency for International Development, signed a letter backing a ceasefire. They added, quote, humanitarian assistance efforts and life-saving aid are largely rendered moot in situations of escalating and indiscriminate bombing and violence, unquote.
Yeah, you can give them all the food you want, but if it gets blown to smithereens, it doesn't help anyone. Or if they can't even get it in there.
So we have been talking about the kind of like, I mean, how significant it is that like tons of government, it's not common that employees of the government like issue letters of condemnation, right? Like or issue requests in that way as like a somewhat organized presence, right? I think more importantly is Belgium talking about sanctions against Israel.
Yeah,
because that's big.
It's got to start somewhere.
I actually was having not really a conversation, like, I don't know, commenting on a YouTube video or on Reddit or something.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But kind of my thought is that, like, oh yeah, it was on Reddit. I'm sorry. Yeah, because someone was like, oh yeah, how would a dictatorship happen in the United States? And I was like, oh, this is exactly how I picture it happening. Is that basically the BRICS decide to fucking boycott the US because now they have a network of providing like most of what they need, right? And financing the things they can't produce themselves, financing the factories to build those, right? They have that ability. And them being like, we're going to sanction the US for their complicity in this genocide. And now, like, none of our big box stores and so like none of them can get inventory. So they lay everybody off. And then they can't pay the banks for the commercial real estate. And then you have a fucking real estate crisis.
Yeah.
And you have a consumer crisis because people can't just get shit. They're fucking irritated because they can't get shit they're used to getting at Walmart or Target or whatever, right? Like, just the shelves are fucking empty everywhere because we don't realize how little stuff we manufacture in the United States until we get sanctioned, right? Yeah. That's how I picture it. And people get angry and people get mad. And then we gravitate naturally towards fucking strongman figures. And then all the good Germans are like, you know what? Like, here, like, again, like, fucking it's you know, it's November, so it's kind of an election season of sorts, even though we didn't have an election. Yeah. You just get someone who will say the most heinous shit, and as long as they look good and they look like they care and they look like they understand the problem and are going to communicate to you in such simplistic ways that they obscure like the entire reality of it, but it's a way that you can understand because you're a fucking sheep, because most of the people in this fucking country are sheep, right? Like, and did you just bat me?
No.
You're one of the smarter ones. No, but my point is, not saying you're doing much about it, but you're definitely not the sheep. You're not a wolf, but you're definitely not a sheep. You're probably that like groundhog that pokes up every once in a while.
There you go.
Keep passing over. You're like,
shit wolf,
calling out, but then ducking back in your hole. Playing video games.
Got my man cave over here with VR and everything. Got VR racing. That's pretty badass.
Yeah, but anyway, I just think it's interesting because that's totally how like shit could get real fucking bad in the United States is sanctions. And I'm glad that Belgium is like, I think the first European country to actually ask for sanctions, or at least have a public figure of that of that position, right? The vice prime minister, right?
Yeah,
deputy prime minister. Is that not like the vice president?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're in charge of the executive branch. I think sometimes a lot of countries have like a prime minister that's like a bureaucrat, and then a president that's like a head of state. Because I think that's how, I think that's how a few different countries run it. They have a president and a prime minister. But at any rate, pretty significant, and I think a really awesome development. And I almost kind of wish that we would just get it over with. And I wish that China and fucking Russia and Iran and Brazil and South Africa and everybody just fucking boycotts us.
Yeah, just get it over with.
We're gonna be like, we're not a ship is leaving our fucking port.
Yeah, or entering. Really, it'd be very nice to just kind of humble us a little bit because we're too goddamn arrogant and it's annoying. Calm down, America. Because you're cool enough.
Honestly, right? And like sanctions like that, what can we do? Like we can retaliate and start a war, right? Like,
yeah, that's pretty much it.
But how does starting a war actually restore what was taken away?
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
You try to force it.
Vengeance. What?
Yeah. You try to force it. You basically, be like, hey, you're going to trade with us or else. But I mean, like, you really think the rest of the world's going to stand for that?
And if you're at war, you're not going to get the goods flowing back to your people.
Exactly.
We're in a position where we can't do that. Yeah. And I don't think the American public, especially with both the Ukraine war and with this Israel shit, they tried to pull it again and double down. Okay, Ukraine's not really working and getting the country into war fervor. How can we do it? Okay, we'll ignore this known organizing for an event against us. We'll tell fucking Bibi's team to ignore it so that they can pretend to be caught off guard, so that they can be outraged about it, right? Like, it's all just fucking, we're all just being played. They're trying to fucking hold on to power, and they don't know how to do it because, like, the reality is that, like, the energetics aren't there. Like, you can't project power like this because we can't just, like, oil is not oozing out of the ground anymore, right? Like, when the empire was built, oil literally seeped out of the fucking ground. And now we're like, scraping fucking landscapes clean, like in the tar sands, or doing super incredibly dangerous shit, like drilling miles and miles and miles underneath a couple miles of ocean, right? Like, it's fucking crazy, bro.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. We did it all for the nookie.
Yeah. And now the nookie's gone.
Now the nookie is just, a horrible fucking disease.
Diseased nookie? Oh, no.
All right, the next thing we wanted to cover is something that actually came to my attention via some screenshots of social media postings. And so it was a Jewish organization social media accounts were posting and advertising to their members or whatever, their followers, that there was this micro grant program available so they could get paid to go to a big rally, which I think is scheduled for the middle of next week, like the 14th or 15th or 16th of November in Washington, D.C. And they're calling it the Million Something or Other March. And they're trying to get like 1 million fucking people to come out to beat the crowd that came for Palestinians. They're trying to get a huge, like 1 million fucking Christian Zionists and Jews, like Zionist Jews, to show up in DC, right? So that they can say we have more public support, and they're literally fucking paying people to do it through this grant program.
So wait a minute, isn't that basically like Okay, what's it called? It's like it's a crisis actor.
Oh, it says November 14th right there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I
great.
was highlighting
I
it
couldn't remember the exact date. November 14th, right?
That's cool. I was highlighting it, so
Okay, I missed that.
everyone knows.
But yeah, so that actually came to me through Revolutionary Blackout Network's Discord page, which is interesting because I'm still on their Discord, even though I unsubscribed from them a long time ago. And you know, some people still post. The Discords are not very active at all. But some people still post some stuff, and I saw like a bunch of social media like screenshots they took, and that made me investigate. So I went to the website, and then I couldn't find it listed anywhere on the website, but I went to microgrants, and it didn't say it on that page. But then I went to say apply to microgrants, and then this came up. You look like you're changing a menu or something.
I am. Keep going. We're having a
now
bad
everybody
stream.
knows what you're doing.
Yeah, we're having a bad stream, so I'm trying to fix it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize it.
No, it's okay.
Pause. You know why? Because we're talking about how they're literally paying people to go protest on behalf of Israel. Because it's literally like just like AIPAC and other organizations, you know, Christian Zionist organizations fucking fund Congress. We didn't even have a clip for Rashida Tlaib getting censured. The only Palestinian American fucking politician in Congress basically was told that she's not allowed to fucking talk. I don't know exactly what it extends to. I think it might remove them from committees and shit too. And of course, like enough Democrats voted to get it to make it happen.
Yeah, democracy.
Republicans can like openly be at war with each other, and guess what? They vote together every fucking time. Why do they have so much discipline? But there's no such discipline. There's your Joe Mansons and your Debbie Wasserman Schultz and all the other fucking conservatives. I mean, the whole party is conservative. Even the fucking so-called like progressives in the Democratic Party are fucking conservatives. And at least at best, they're conservative, right? Like at worst, they're fucking agents provocateurs. They're fucking working for the other guys. So to shift gears a little bit, so we got so far. This is the picture we got. We got Belgium being like, "Hey, maybe we should sanction." We got Israel saying, "Oh, you're not allowed to protest because you're brown, and you're going to say things we don't want you to say." And also, we're going to make anybody that like ever looks at things that are against Zionism, we're going to make you a criminal, right? And make you a criminal to be against our regime. But we're supposedly the only democracy. That's why the most powerful, fucking biggest military bully, the United States, has to basically park nuclear submarines off our coast, right? And aircraft carriers. You saw that they sent an Ohio-class carrier, right? Out to the Eastern Mediterranean.
Yes.
Oh, no, they said it's to the CENTCOM region. So it could actually be in the Persian Gulf or in the Red Sea. I don't think they specified where it was, but it's in CENTCOM's CENTCOM's jurisdiction. So it could potentially be in the fucking Persian Gulf for all we know.
Yeah.
With 5-minute missiles to like destroy all of fucking Iran's military.
Yeah. Somebody was saying something about someone, or like we shot down a drone somewhere recently.
Probably.
Oh, okay.
Probably.
Yeah.
We do that. I also wanted to mention that Russia hit a fucking shipping vessel in the Black Sea, which totally like, you know, it's a war zone. And they've already said, hey, if you come here, like you could get hit. We're not saying it's safe. That adds on to when I was giving that example of us being sanctioned.
Mm-hmm.
Just other things that are happening now that are going to get probably a lot worse in the next couple of years. When shipping vessels can't be guaranteed safe passage, like either they don't go or the fucking insurance and the shipping costs like explodes. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It becomes more dangerous. You have to pay people more to go to do it. Imagine that. Right?
They might get blown up. Yeah.
Because they might fucking die. It's a Liberia flagged vessel I read. And they had 4 injured and 1 dead, I think is what it was. Or it was 1 injured and 4 dead. I can't remember. Either way, small crew. It was a commercial vessel. I didn't catch what it was doing. It said iron ore to China, but that doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know.
Yeah. It's all pretty annoying.
It could have been smuggling weapons.
Yeah.
We don't know. We never will.
Yeah, exactly.
Because no one will tell the truth.
Yeah.
Because like part of war is information war, right? Like,
right. Very frustrating. But you know what's worse than frustrating? Fucking with cats, dog.
Yeah, man. So
Fucking
we
with
wanted this to
cats.
break up some of the stuff to say genocide isn't sexy, but cats are still cute, just like Jude Law.
Yeah. Even
I don't
Palestinian
know.
cats.
I'd probably. Yeah. So here we have some Palestinian kid. What?
You were about to say.
What was I about to say?
Something about Jude Law.
Probably. Yeah, probably. And now we have some Palestinian kids in a refugee camp playing with cats. And some of these are their cats from home, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe the cat belongs to one of these, and all the other kids are like, "Oh, cool, you have a cat."
And
So,
the
like, this
cat's
is
just like, where do
this
I
is like
hide?
fucking humanity right here, dude.
Yeah.
Like, this is just people being people. And if you see this, like, you have to be outraged. Like, I keep thinking, I'm like, I want to try and convince my kids to start a fucking diet at their school.
A diet.
Because, like, they say, like, a Palestinian child is dying every 10 fucking minutes.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
And, like, so, like, imagine if you did a die-in one day of school and you had one kid from, like, not even from each class, but just one kid generally spread across the classes, do a die-in across the however many minutes is it, that'd be 6 per hour, about 6, 7, 8 hours, so it'd be 36. It'd be almost 50 kids laying on the ground by the end of the day. And it's like, so this is how many Palestinian kids died just while we were doing our school day.
Yeah.
Like, and really kind of try and capture the scale of what's fucking happening.
Yeah.
But at any rate, so we want to show you kids. This is from Reuters. So can you narrate for us? Because it's only text.
Yeah. More importantly, though, we want to show you cats. Because cats will get you pissed off. And if you kill a cat, you deserve to go to hell.
Yeah.
So
and
we can just get
honestly,
the entire internet, pissed off at this. I think we could do something about it.
Yeah, people who've been to war zones or even like super poor areas in the United States, which are kind of like war zones, right? Like they just don't have any resources or infrastructure. I mean, that's what a war zone is, right? Like,
yeah,
it's you get rid of all the most of the civilian infrastructure, and you put people with having very little and being very poor, and having access to no help or assistance or whatever. That's what a war zone is.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, like recognizing that like it's not just Palestinian men, women, and children, but also like and old people and whatever, like, but you also have like pets. And anybody that's been to a war zone or a poverty-stricken area knows that like fucking dogs will pack, like domesticated dogs will like pack up and shit, and they get real fucking scary.
Yeah.
So they also got to contend with like feral dogs and shit, and then they also like these are people's pets, right? They just can't bring them with them, or they can't afford, so they just have to abandon them. And they were members of their family, and now they can't grieve for the fucking dog because they also lost like their mother and their uncle and other shit like that. So yeah, let's play this clip.
Human shit, man. Human shit. Displaced Palestinians say their cats are struggling to adapt to the violence. Imagine that. This one is called Sim Sim, and this one is Brownie, and this one is Liza. We also had another cat, a Syrian cat, that was called Caramel, but we lost her in the bombing of, I read too fast, Al-Zahar Tower. Since the war began, we have suffered from a lack of cat food. So I had no choice but to feed them canned food such as beef, luncheon meat, and tuna. They were not accustomed to it initially, as they do not eat such food. But they eventually had no choice and started eating just like we eat. Oh, like at the table and everything? That'd be cute. Sim Sim is a living thing, just like us, who is going through our suffering as well. He has fears like we do, and this is not his home, and nor is he eating his food. And there's a bird. Pissed off bird. Seems even getting all of the
couple cute little curly hair girls.
Yeah.
And some little tiny toddlers, even younger babies petting a cat. And that cat being like, I am so freaked the fuck out right now.
Wait, there were children in that?
This is Democracy Now!
Those are all children.
I didn't see any children. I just saw a cat.
Oh, you didn't see past the cat?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that's really wholesome, and I really liked what that little girl said. This is Simpson or whatever his name was. He's like us, like this war hurts him too, or some shit like that.
He's scared shitless.
Yeah, basically he's scared. Like we had a cat named Caramel, we lost him in the bombing. Like, and how casual do they say that?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, these are our cats. Come see our cats. They're excited to show off their cats. We had
These
a
are the ones
cat
that are left.
died like 5 days ago when a big bomb like almost killed us.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
The fucking trauma that's there. That's like, and all these kids are just. I mean, it's been, and that's what like life under occupation it does to you, right? Like, it's literally like, oh, there's a cat here. Things are nice right now. I have zero expectation for my future. Like, but this is a nice little pleasant break from almost getting murdered like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
You know, like, holy shit, I cannot imagine. And I've been dealing with disciplinary issues, and we went and with one of my kids, and then we went and toured another school today, and I was like, oh my God, the school's so fucking nice. Like, just the facilities are nice and all this stuff. And like, I mentioned the die-in, and it's just like I'm trying to figure out how to communicate to them, like, stop being little fucking shitheads. You're so fucking lucky. Like, you were lucky to be born to us. You were so lucky to be born in this country. Like, you could have, your consciousness could have been born into someone who's like carrying their cat and being like, I guess I'll give some of my tiny little bit of fucking ration every day to this pet that means so much to me.
Yeah.
Because I have literally nothing else, because it's all taken away while the most powerful fucking people in the world fucking shit on me and kick me and fucking punish me for something I never did. In fact, they've been punishing my family for generations. And we didn't do anything. We just fucking lived here. And then all of a sudden, we got kicked out of our homes. We got put in a fucking open air prison. We got bombed. We had raids. Our fucking friends and family were arrested and never charged and held indefinitely in their prisons.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot not fucking imagine how fucking these fucking kids here, like at the school, like that I spend my time in, are just such fucking entitled pieces of shit. And I just want to fucking rub their nose in fucking what a genocide is and be like, you're no different than that kid. You could be that kid.
Yeah.
Like, stop fucking thinking that like you're, I don't want to do my math sheet. You know who would probably want to do math? One of those fucking Palestinian kids that doesn't have a fucking house or a school. Right?
Yeah.
Fucking entitled pieces of shit, man. I just want to like rub their nose in how fucking much pain exists everywhere and how grateful those fucking kids would be for having like a little tiny fraction of the stability these fucking pricks. You know, like, I don't fucking know, dude. I get it, they're just kids, but like, I don't know how to convey to them that like, if you fuck around right now, you're cannon fodder. The system wants nothing more than a bunch of uneducated idiots to fucking throw into a meat grinder. That's what our system does. And that's what they'll do to you. Like, you better show yourself fucking useful in a way that doesn't involve being in the meat grinder. But they don't get it. And they don't think it applies. We are probably fucking facing a draft in the next couple of years. Unless there's an outright revolt, I don't see our government taking steps necessary now to avoid that kind of need later. They're already having a fucking recruiting crisis while they're doing war planning against Iran and China. Y'all are going to be in a fucking meat grinder.
Yeah.
Not me. I'm fucking too old. And I did my time.
Well, right? Too old for now.
Too old for now, right? But like I think we discussed just last week when we chose that age for Christian fascist militias. We chose the youthful age of 18 to 40. We're like, because as of right now, that seems to be, you know, but we could be drafted at, because Ukraine drafts any fucking person that can hold a rifle, I think.
Yep. I think they got them up to 65.
15 to fucking 65, 15 to 70, some shit like that. Every fucking man that could walk and carry a rifle is getting sent into the fucking meat grinder. It's fucking horse shit. Anyway, sorry. We were supposed to, the cats thing was actually supposed to be a high note here.
Never.
There's going to be a clip here. I'm going to excuse myself for just a second. I know what she says, so you can go ahead and play. To set it up, this is Sabby Sabs. No hate on her. I just really kind of have a general, this is just the clip that was in front of me when I was thinking this, is that there's just kind of like a really almost kind of self-righteous and a kind of outrage that I feel is warranted, but at some point becomes just so bothersome that like it doesn't stick anymore, right? Like, and it makes it's based in a lot of assumptions that don't actually reflect reality. So we're going to spend a little time discussing this before we move on to our final clip, which is about Skeleton Crew.
Yeah.
In this country to use Amazon to forsake the local retailers who are now, all boarded up. And those are the people who pay local taxes, who enrich our community, who give summer jobs to your kids, who finance the local Boy Scouts, who pay for the Little League and the hockey jerseys, and they're all gone. Amazon doesn't pay any local taxes. They pay not a dime in federal taxes either last year.
This is just something he just copied from Bernie's campaign. The Amazon thing. See, again, like I told you, when you're calling out corruption and you're talking about corporate power, it's easy to call out Amazon. Everybody knows about Amazon. It's easy to call out Jeff Bezos. Everybody knows about Jeff Bezos. When you're going to call out people like Larry Fink? When you're going to call out the billionaires that you're taking money from, like Bill Ackman and David Sachs? You're not going to call them out. They're your friends.
They are your friends. Oh no, he's not back yet. There we go. I mean, first of all, it's not really copying Bernie Sanders. It's just kind of like fact that Amazon doesn't pay any taxes. I don't know, just kind of stating the obvious, and it's an easy one. It's almost like a meme at that point. Just Amazon bad. But she mentioned some names. David Sachs, we're going to cover him first. Bill Ackman, go over him next. Also not great. And then let's see. We got Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock. Yeah, fantastic. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. We got our David Sachs. Net worth. How did he make his fortune? So more or less, if you read through it, he kind of got lucky in the early tech stock, worth $1.5 billion. I'm invested in a lot of companies, Airbnb, SpaceX, Uber, two of which at least are probably intimately familiar to all of us on a semi-regular basis.
Who feel exploited?
Yeah, who feel exploited.
Yeah, which is not to say that he's a great guy. He saw businesses that would be successful, and he invested in them and made money. Like, it sucks that they have all these outgrowth, Airbnb and Uber, especially, all this negative effect on society. The reason I wanted to show that clip is I'm tired of how intellectually lazy much of the fucking alternative, like, left media pundits, how intellectually lazy they are. Because she does that kind of faux outrage, which has kind of become signature now. No disrespect, but like, it feels like a little preachy and a little whiny at some point when you just keep saying it over and over and over again.
Well, I was saying, like, of course she mentioned Amazon. It's really obvious. It's almost like a meme, like you can say Amazon bad and it conveys a whole bunch of stuff that you don't then have to say. Right. And so, but for someone who has a very short period of time in which to talk, that's a great shorthand. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I felt it was disingenuous, and the whole reason I wanted to include it is because of that line, which is like, he just stole that from Bernie Sanders. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No, the reason that I appreciated what was said about Amazon is that he made the connection about the velocity of money. Like, he's a very libertarian kind of minded person. So that's why tech entrepreneurs, right, and investors in like venture capitalists and other people who are risk takers, but are also at like kind of the front wave of thinking, right? In a lot of ways, why he's friends with them and why he would take their money. Like what he mentioned about Amazon was that like there's a whole ripple effect from Amazon that like destroys American communities. Like when you put small retailers out, you have all of these businesses that supported all of these functions, like supported the Boy Scouts and the Little Leagues and all these civic institutions that help kind of hold us together. Those get destroyed by that. Then we have less and less holding us together than pulling us apart. And that's what he's trying to do. He's said it before, is trying to like end the fucking, is to basically prevent the second Civil War. He says it all the fucking time that he's like, we have to stop fucking being this way to each other, because like there are like everybody has something correct to say, right? Like we're all being fucked over by the system. We need to stop blaming each other because it's not a, but he's never also, you know, she kind of is preachy about it in a way that's like, oh, you know, he's just going to disappoint everybody. I don't know anybody excited about him. In fact, I would not vote for him under most circumstances simply because his position on Israel is like, but if there's Joe Biden, Donald Trump, and RFK Jr., and they all have essentially the same fucking policy,
right,
toward Israel,
throw that policy out,
then I'm just going to have to fucking vote for him as the lesser evil, or not vote at all. And I might not vote at all. But
make sure you you know, wear a clown suit, stay home, you know, watch some soap operas or something like that.
Jill Stein announced she's running for the Green Party after Cornel West dropped out, so that the Greens will have a good, strong candidate, which is really great. So I'll probably actually wind up voting for Jill Stein, to be honest.
Ooh, I could do that again.
In fact, I tried to give her money, but once I fucking did all of the stuff and had my Google Pay connected to the form or whatever and filled out all my employer and all that shit, and it donate, the fucking button didn't like forward the page and didn't like, I never got an email transaction for my PayPal debit. So I tried to give her $20. I'm like, it's not a lot, but like, I really also don't want to give any politician any money at all. But as a kind of thank you for running and being a figurehead for our party, right? Like,
yeah, and you're just donating to the Patreon.
Basically,
Jill Stein's Patreon. It helps a lot.
Yeah, and I appreciate her, and I would wish her luck. I do think we needed somebody to represent the party in the political space, though. And so $20 would be like, thank you for stepping forward, basically.
Yeah.
And then that would be it. I'm not going to like fucking go campaign for her because she's not going to get elected. Right? Yeah. Like, she's not. Let's be real.
Yeah. But I mean, hey, why not?
Anyway, I pulled this stuff up about David Sachs and Ackman, whatever his name is, Bill Ackman.
Yeah.
Just to kind of show, they're rich guys, but RFK Jr.'s part of the ruling class. He's like in one of the most famous ruling families in all of American history. Like, of course, his friends are in the ruling class too.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't think that says that anything he says is less valid, because he's not talking about creating a socialist utopia.
Right.
He's not. He's talking about making some serious reforms, like ending the revolving door. And that is something I can get behind.
Right. It's a little bit better than everyone else. And that's enough.
So anyway, stop being intellectually lazy. That's my that's my only ask, is like, just have some nuance. Be like, instead of being like, he's corrupt. Like, he's just so corrupt because he took this money. You know why Greens never get elected, Zach?
I do not know why Greens never get elected.
We have no money.
People not voting for them.
We have no money. And people won't vote for you unless you have money. Because literally, the people who win are the ones who can spend $100,000 on sending a mailer to the house every fucking week. Even if people are like, I'm annoyed with all these mailers, guess who they ultimately vote for? The person they know the best. And who do they know the best? The person that won't stop fucking showing up in their mailbox. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't look at my mailbox.
If people are like me, our junk mail stack might sit on the fucking table by the door for like 3 or 4 months before we go through and purge it all. I don't know if you have a junk mail fucking pile.
No, I throw it away as soon as I get it. There's a bin right next to the mailbox because we're in an apartment, and so yeah, I just put it in there. And even when I was a kid and we got all the junk mail, we just put it right in the recycling or the trash bin, whichever was appropriate. Not a big fan of junk mail.
Yeah, no, ours piles up because then it goes out in recycling. And honestly, a lot of it is because like Brooke brings in the mail, and then like I know what comes in, and sometimes when I get the mail, I'll like walk right over to the recycling can and
exactly. Why wouldn't you?
Just throw shit away.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, that's what I do outside.
Do we really need another Costco catalog like mailer?
Yeah.
Why do they send those? How much does that cost Costco?
Yeah, like there's no
shave a fucking penny off of my chicken, motherfucker.
Well, what I don't get
is I want that chicken for one less penny.
Maybe I'm less concerned about the value of my time, but like I'm just gonna walk around the store anyway because they don't always have what's in the thing, and there's no coupon, so there's no reason to read it, and so I just meander throughout the aisles. I also go at like 10 in the morning when no one's there, so like maybe that makes a difference.
Let's get through this. You brought up Ackman, and the thing you highlighted was that he supported Kyle Rittenhouse's self-defense claim. Guess what? Doesn't bother. I mean, yeah, that bothers me.
Yeah.
The fact that he donated money to RFK Jr.'s campaign doesn't bother me. Because guess what? Just about everybody who's rich, no matter what, is probably pretty shitty. And there's a lot more dangerous people who like the Christian fascists, the ones training, doing ruck marches training, right? To be fascist foot soldiers. They are far more dangerous in their belief that Kyle Rittenhouse was correct and unable to have any fucking nuance about it. I've brought it up in the course of talking about Jimmy Dore too, being like, that was one of the big fucking straws that broke my Jimmy's back or whatever. Like, I have no fucking patience for people whatabouting shit like that. Like, yeah, he was justified in the courts in self-defense, but like he should have never been a minor there with a rifle trying to protect property at no one's request.
Yeah,
he just went down there to run around with his gun, and then people got fucking pissed and came at him with a fucking skateboard, which is fundamentally a different fucking weapon than a rifle. He fucking put himself in that position. He should have at least fucking got gun charges. Maybe not do him for homicide, but he should have at least got like minor in possession of firearms across state lines in a place where he shouldn't be. Because another thing they teach you about firearms is the case with the concealed carry in California. You can't take them anywhere where there might be like heightened tensions because they don't want you using it as like a fucking draw weapon, right? They don't want to have people dueling in the fucking street over petty bullshit. So they're like, if you go to a bar and you're like, you can't fucking have a weapon, whether you're sober or not. Like if you're in an establishment where people are getting drunk, you can't have a fucking weapon.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be there at all if you're worried about your safety. So stay out of there and you can have your weapon and stay out of the bar. And they do that with public protests. You're not supposed to bring a weapon, even if you're licensed concealed carry. So that is like, and that's at least the state of California, as far as I know. So he had no fucking business being there. Those firearm laws were fucking dumb and created that situation. But more importantly, it's not really the firearm laws problem. It's his. Like he's the one in the wrong. But anyway, I find that detestable, certainly. But I don't think that him donating money to RFK Jr. changes my opinion about RFK. And I certainly don't think we should like fake outrage about it.
Yeah.
Because what else do you expect?
Well,
the dude is he's a product of the ruling class.
Yeah. Interesting thing is he is the guy who called for the Harvard students' names to be made public. So remember when we covered that? Yeah, he was.
Oh yeah, no, he's a Zionist for sure. I think I put that in the notes.
You did.
I was like, this motherfucker's a heinous Zionist, but guess what? So is RFK Jr. And guess who hasn't tried to lie to anybody about being a fucking rabid Zionist? RFK Jr. He has not tried to hide the fact that his fucking views on Israel are absolutely detestable. So like to present it as like, oh, he's a fucking snake. He's trying to fucking backdoor you and shit. And you're like, no, dude, not really. Like he's pretty fucking straightforward about who he is. And if he says, hey, Amazon should not have been allowed to become what it is, to where it destroyed Main Street America and like erased all of this fucking civic infrastructure from our small towns. Like, that's what he said. And instead you come out with this fake outrage that he's like, oh, see, this guy gave him money and he's guilty by association. Guilt by association is literally a logical fallacy.
Yeah.
So anyway, stop being intellectually lazy and actually think about what you're fucking saying. Especially when you have a fucking platform with 40,000 fucking people watching you. We got shit.
Yeah.
You're like
that's not true. We have 11.
Dog sometimes falls asleep to us.
Oh man, I would kill for a second cousin's dog.
All right, we just have a few minutes left. Let's talk about the Jude Law.
Jude Law. Let's see. We got everything we know about Star Wars Skeleton Crew. John Watts is helming Star Wars Skeleton Crew, a series about kids going on an adventure. Here's everything we know about Skeleton Crew.
I heard of it as like Stranger Things in space.
Let's see. A Goonies-like adventure set in the galaxy far, far away.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds
fun. They definitely said Amblin a few times. I heard it's very Amblin, like very E.T., very Goonies, very kind of young kid adventure shit. Yeah.
So, Skeleton Crew. Let's see. Synopsis for the series. It follows the journey of 4 kids who make a mysterious discovery on their seemingly safe home planet, and then get lost in a strange and dangerous galaxy. Finding their way home and meeting unlikely aliens and enemies will be a greater adventure than anyone ever imagined.
Unlikely allies and enemies.
Huh?
So what does that say to you?
Well, let's see. We're gonna have a lot of wacky characters, and
unlikely allies and enemies. It doesn't say.
Yeah. Hey, I think they're wacky because you wouldn't suspect them. Yoda betrays them. Let's see. It says what it doesn't say is a whole lot about the rest of what's going on in the galaxy, which is great. I'm really hoping they'll like focus on smaller things that everyone can relate to.
On Stranger Things.
On Stranger
Things.
Yeah. Just strange things, not Stranger Things. Strange things.
Yeah. So you know what I actually read in that? The opposite of you.
Oh no, that's not good.
I find a mystery on a planet they thought was safe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, they find the world between worlds.
Oh, I don't care.
And
about
then
the
they said they're trapped in a dangerous galaxy.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I guess.
Everyone's trapped in a dangerous galaxy.
The galaxy they are from is dangerous.
Our galaxy is dangerous.
What's that?
Said our galaxy is dangerous.
For sure.
Like at any moment, gamma ray burst, annihilate all life on Earth. Happened before. Why not again?
Yeah.
Let's see.
I just kind of was thinking there might be some world between worlds connection and shit because it does take place in the Filoni-verse timeline.
Oh, okay.
Or there might be some stuff they connect for the Balin Skull arc that they introduced. Some kind of like mysterious force wizardry stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to talk about the people in it. I don't know any of them besides Jude Law. Probably doesn't matter that I don't know that. Because, of course, they're going to talk about the one guy with power, or star power, rather. But as long as they can stray away from, like, okay, if they want to do a world between worlds, whatever. Just don't focus on the mysticism of the Force. Or if you want to focus on the Force, don't do it with the Jedi and the Sith. Like, there are other hokey religions out there that you can focus on.
Oh, yeah.
Like, why not?
I mean, there's all sorts of ones that have gone absolutely unexplored in canon. Like the Gand Finder, right? Like, Gans are in canon, right? I think one of them was in the Cantina in the original Star Wars.
The one I'm thinking of was...
Oh, no, he was Zuckuss. He was a fucking bounty hunter from Empire
Strikes Back.
Sorry. You're right. Yeah, but there's like a whole mysticism behind those finders, and they were bounty hunters because they could use the Force to track quarries or prey.
Yeah.
It's really a kind of a fascinating element that you could bring in. And they're not Jedi, and they're not Sith, and they're not Night Sisters or anything. But I could see them, I could see them in live action within this context of
Yeah.
staying with some of the other elements they've already introduced that have plenty of more to be explored. Like the Witches of Dathomir. Like they could find an old fucking Witches of Dathomir temple. I heard that the whole reason there was that Mando season 3 arc with the fucking pirate. The pirate captain that was there for like a single episode before he blew up, but then his lieutenant, he was in that episode, but also a previous episode where they had like a showdown on the street or whatever.
Yeah.
And they wanted to drink in the schoolhouse, right? Like those pirates.
Yeah.
I heard that pirate is involved in this show. So he was kind of like introducing him here so he could be a more serious villain in a different story.
There's a term for that. It's the backdoor pilot. That's what it is. Backdoor pilot. You basically like have a single episode that doesn't seem to quite fit everything else. And you're like, what the hell was that? Backdoor pilot. Boom.
Are you saying that the Jeffersons wouldn't exist if it wasn't for All in the Family?
I'm saying exactly that.
You're absolutely correct.
Yeah. It was a
We
spinoff.
had to figure out, to be like backdoor pilot, the story about the Black family. Make sure Americans are ready for this.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
Yeah.
No, I don't know TV well enough to know. I'm sure there was other TV shows that had had the whole cast was Black, but I'm not sure. But I do think that the Jeffersons was a spinoff of All in the Family. If I'm
You are correct about that. I only found that out very recently.
I was pretty sure I had heard that somewhere. I didn't want to like feed bad information. But of course, as always, after liking and subscribing, you go ahead, go down to those comments and tell us how we're stupid and wrong.
Yeah.
And this has been with Thunderous Applause, a podcast where we like to talk about Palestinian kids and cats. We like to talk about Jude Law and his friends in a galaxy far, far away. We also like to talk about the injustice of genocide, even though genocides aren't sexy. And that title, would you like to explain why we titled it that?
Because you thought it was funny, and I agree.
It wasn't exactly it.
Well, we had a conversation.
I don't really want to. I don't know what to do for a show because I'm bored with the fucking shit about Israel. I'm freaking bored.
Genocide them or don't get over it.
I get it. It's not flashy. It doesn't really hold your interest.
Genocide them or don't. Be done with it. Or not. It's all the waiting that gets me.
It takes time, dude. Even industrialized, that level of slaughter takes time. I think it took Hitler. It took Hitler like a good few years of the well-oiled machine, pun intended, to murder as many Jews as they did. It'll take fucking Israel at least probably a year to kill 2.5 million Palestinians.
Maybe I'm gonna set a timer.
You're gonna set a timer. Can you wrap this up, man? I want to get back to other shit. Baldur's Gate 4 is going to be out next month.
Shut up. No, that would take years. All games take years now.
It's fucking insane. At least they're pretty decent games.
However, there is a Valheim update. I really want to. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right now it's just like updates and little added flair. And we did a patch.
I got to play as a bard so I can fuck everything.
What's that?
I thought I got to play as a bard so I can fuck everything.
Have you not played as a bard?
No, not yet.
Who have you played as? Because you've run through it a few times, right?
Yeah, let's see. I played my first run. I was going to do Paladin and Warlock. Or no, I wasn't even going to do Warlock. I was going to do Paladin and Sorcerer. And then they made some changes to how the Warlock worked that were very advantageous. So I played a Paladin, Warlock, Sorcerer. So I just ended up with a bunch of really low-level slots to throw at Divine Smite every time I got a crit. Yeah. So yeah, that's my first one. And then I started a run as there's an achievement if you play one level of every class and never respec, you can or get an achievement. And there's a character that is supposed to be like, everyone thinks it's like the canon player character. And I played as him on the evil run, and the Paladin's going to be that one as the good run. So, that's my fun. But yeah, they were coming out with a whole bunch of patches that were breaking stuff, so I paused for a while, and I'll probably get back into it soon. We'll see.
Very cool. Well, remember, folks, life goes on. Prepare yourself. Store white rice in a fucking bucket. Because
why only white rice? Why only white rice? Brown rice?
Not only white rice. You should store lots of things in buckets.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just saying, like, why specifically white rice? Not brown rice.
Brown rice,
Jasmine rice
still has fucking exocarp on it, so it's way fattier. It doesn't store nearly as long.
Oh,
that's the whole reason for taking that off.
I had no idea.
Mm-hmm. The reason that white rice is even a thing is because they figured out it stores a lot longer and a lot better without the germ or whatever. I forget what a part of it is. I think it's
it's germ. Germ is more familiar to me. But
well, in the seed, the germ is like the kind of like little area where like it's gonna sprout. That's where the genetic seed is in the germ.
Yeah.
And then the exocarp is around like the rest of the fucking starch in the seed. And that's kind of like a protective layer. And then over that is like another filmy kind of guy, and that's your shaft.
Well, there we go.
So you're just peeling back layers until you get to nothing but starch. Like you get rid of all the fats and stuff.
Yeah.
And a bunch of protein too.
Yeah,
like
protein,
brown rice is
fiber.
Better for you, but it doesn't keep very long.
Yeah.
So it wasn't useful to maintaining empires, etc.
I see.
Yeah. But anyways, store your rice.
Speaking of empires,
beans and bullets, right, folks? And learn to plant a garden and grow your own food, because that'll be important, especially leafy greens, dark leafy greens preferably. Try your chard. Perpetual spinach is one of my favorite. Beta vulgaris. It doesn't. It grows like chard. They call it perpetual spinach. It's a little more tender, but only first thing in the spring when it's still cool out. As soon as it warms up, it gets real chardy. But then at the same time, you have fucking fresh greens, man.
Yeah, it's hard to get.
Lots and lots of vitamins and minerals.
Yeah, especially if you take care of your garden and your soil.
Remember, folks, when liberty dies, dies
with thunderous applause.
Thunderous applause. Be well, my friends, and until next time, grow good.